that stunned the nearby common people, and they quickly moved backward with fear. Does she have no respect for the laws? Unfortunately, if she knew anything about laws, she would not be little Yuana. Who gave you the right to call my grandpa an old man? Little Yuana put down her leg and said angrily, "How dare you attack us?" said one of the two remaining members of the Azure Dragon Association. "I not only dare to attack you, but also dare to kill you." As she said that, a faint ripple of energy emanated out of her body. The two men exchanged a look and blurted out, "A mystic enlightening expert." A body-tempering expert was strong only in physique, but a mystic enlightening expert began to open the 5 apertures and could pour primordial chi into them to produce energy. Only after reaching the mystic enlightening realm could a person be considered a real cultivator. Plop! Both men dropped to their knees at the same time and cried out, "Please spare our lives, my lady." Little Yuana shook her head as she snorted and said, "Why should I?" She was lifting her fist when Zhou walked over and said, "You've done a good job, Yuana." The compliment made little Yuana laugh happily, and she said, "Hee. I was angry at them for calling you an old man, so I thought I should teach them a lesson." Zhou looked at the two men and glanced around. In fact, he was not concerned about their life and death, but that their death would attract unwanted attention. "Where are the headquarters of the Azure Dragon Association's branch?" he asked. "3 miles north of Anyang's Gu River. I've just arrived in Anyang, so I'm not familiar with the people and places here. Go back and tell your chief that I will call on him personally tomorrow." I will. Now get out of my sight." Hearing that, both men stood up and helped their wounded companion before fleeing the scene. "Master, it is very thoughtful of you to ask them where their headquarters are, so that we can destroy them all in one go," said little Yuana in a low voice. Zhou smiled as he lightly knocked her on the forehead and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? I just want to use them to investigate the kidnapping of the CI family." "Ouch! I'm sorry, Master. Do you still remember where your home is?" Zhou asked. "I only remember that there are 2 stone lions at the front door. My father likes to practice with sabers and spears, while my mother likes embroidery best. No, my mom likes me best," said little Yuana of Ji Qiandao's disciples. Some he took from their parents with force, while others were sent to him by their parents voluntarily. Zhou only remembered that little Yuana was very small when her parents sent her to Golden Court Mountain, and he did not know the reason why they wanted to send her over. Why would any parent want to send their children into a wolf den? The CI family was not hard to find. There were not many wealthy families with the surname of CI, and since Anyang was not large, they found it after asking around. When they arrived in front of its door, little Yuana was so excited that she kept jumping over the heads of the 2 stone lions like a rabbit. "Master, these are the lions I told you about. They are exactly the same as in my memory. Now that you are home, don't be so playful. Come down." "Oh!" Right then, Zhou noticed that a side quest of investigating the kidnapping appeared in the quest menu. The doors squeaked as they slowly swung open, revealing a middle-aged man dressed like a steward who looked at them quizzically. "Who are you looking for?" "Where are my father and mother?" Little Yuana peered through the door, eager to see her parents. The steward frowned. "Who are you, little girl? Your parents are not here." "Pack!" Little Yuana slapped the man in the face. "You asked for it. Now, get out of my grandpa's way." The steward covered his cheek with one hand and trembled all over. Zhou did not know whether to laugh or cry, but at the same time, he felt nothing wrong about the way she handled it. Sometimes, too much attention to courtesy would greatly affect efficiency. Like the most filial granddaughter, little Yuana helped Zhou into the mansion. The mansion was empty. They saw no servants or maids, and even the tables, chairs, and other furniture were taken away. The whole interior looked rather sad and desolate. "It looks like your 4th senior brother's news is true," Zhou said faintly. Little Yuana pointed at the steward and said angrily, "You come here." "Ah." "Where are my father and mother?" The question put a blank expression on the steward's face. Little Yuana had grown up, and she looked very different from when she was little. So the steward could not recognize her. Zhou asked, "What's your name?" "I am Wong Fuguay, the steward of the CI family." The man stammered while still holding his cheek with one hand. "Where is CI? I thought he is a steward." Little Yuana only remembered that man who went to Golden Court Mountain for help after the first kidnapping happened. They were all kidnapped. "She is CI Yuana, the young lady of the CI family." Zhou pointed at little Yuana. "Ah!" Wong Fuguay swallowed and looked little Yuana up and down. A brief moment later, his eyes lit up as he dropped to his knees and kowtowed. "Young miss, you have finally come back. I'm Wong Fuguay." "Wong Fuguay." Little Yuana scratched her head. "Let's talk inside." In the main hall of the mansion, after listening to Wong Fuguay's explanation of the incident, Zhou and little Yuana learned that most of the CI family members had been kidnapped by a gang called Lakeside Gang. No one knew what background this gang had, who ordered them to do it, or where they were located. Because the CI family had been kidnapped 2 times in a row, nobody dared to work for them anymore. So the remaining servants and maids had all fled with the valuable things of the family. Wong Fuguay was the last person in the mansion. "Why didn't you report this to local authorities?" asked Zhou. "I did, but they couldn't find any traces. All the people in the CI family were kidnapped, except those who were outside for tasks. I was lucky to have escaped because I was in a privy." "Then why didn't you run away?" Little Yuana asked. "The CI family had treated me well. I will live and die as a member of the CI family." Zhou said with a smile, "You are very loyal to the family. Fortunately, Yuana didn't kill you." Wong Fuguay felt a sharp pain in his face, but he said embarrassedly, "I deserve to be slapped by young Mississippi. You must keep Yuana's return a secret. I'll investigate the kidnapping and rescue them," Zhou said. "Ah." Although Zhou had become much younger, he still looked old and frail. Apart from his imposing manner, he appeared like an old man anyone could knock over with a slap. Wong Fuguay only knew that little Yuana was sent away by her father, but he did not know where she was sent to, for what purpose, or the fact that her master was the infamous old villain. "Leave us now." Wong Fuguay dared not question Zhou. Even though Zhou was an old man, he could tell that he was respected by little Yuana, so he nodded and took his leave. "Yuana." "Yes, master." "Go to the Azure Dragon Association tomorrow morning and ask them to find out more about this so-called Lakeside Gang." "I understand, master." "Remember, don't reveal your identity." "I understand, master." As soon as he assigned the task, Zhou heard the system prompt. "Ding. The task of supporting Duanmu Sheng is completed. You are rewarded with 200 merit points." Mingshi had completed the supporting task and should have gone to fix the shield. Zhou frowned slightly as he watched the tasks change in the system. When he left Golden Court Mountain, the task he gave was for the 2 of them to repair the shield together, but it only showed Mingshi alone in the system. There was only one possibility. Duanmu Sheng was injured. Meanwhile, at Golden Court Mountain, Mingshi, together with Duanmu Sheng lying in bed, looked at little Yuana's letter with a puzzled look. "I can't believe Master left the mountain. What is he thinking?" Duanmu Sheng coughed and said, "Perhaps it is because he has stayed on the mountain for too long and wants to go out for a walk, but he doesn't want to be identified." "That does make sense. Master has been acting so out of line these days that I can't figure out what he thinks." Mingshi sighed. In the past, Master had absolute strength, so he did not like to use his brain. All tricks are meaningless struggles in the face of absolute power, after all. Perhaps the task of repairing the shield will have to be done by yourself. "Junior brother, I'm afraid that my injury won't heal in 3 to 5 months." "No way." Mingshi said sulkily, "You better not go too far in pretending. You and I were both beaten from childhood to adulthood, and we have suffered injuries more serious than this." "You are really clever, junior brother," said Duanmu Sheng with an embarrassed smile. 10 days. If you're still lying in bed after 10 days, I'll stop fixing the shield. When Master comes back, you'll be taught a lesson," said Mingshi as he folded his arms over his chest. "I don't need 10 days. 7 days are more than enough. Junior brother, You may leave me now. I need to heal myself. It is not so appropriate for two single men to stay in the same room. Bah! Ming-Sher-In turned and left his senior brother. It was already night outside, and the moon hung high up in the sky. Ming-Sher-In looked up at the night sky and murmured to himself, "What exactly are you thinking, master? Wait, is that a letter?" He leaped up into the sky and caught a carrier bird. After reading the letter, he furrowed his brow slightly and said in surprise, "How did master know that third senior brother is injured?" He glanced around and spread his divine sense out to cover the void hundreds of meters around him. Apart from some birds perched on tree branches, he sensed no other creatures or people. Ming-Sher-In was uneasy and nervous, and he had a feeling that his master was watching him from a nearby corner. So he went down on his knees and said, "Master, I didn't mean to be rude to you. Rest assured, I'll certainly work hard to fix the shield and take good care of Golden Court Mountain." The surroundings were quiet and dark, so he rose to his feet and breathed a sigh of relief. "Don't panic. As long as I follow Master's way, I'll be fine." Ding! You have disciplined Ming-Sher-In and are rewarded with 100 merit points. Ming-Sher-Yin's loyalty increased by 2%. Zhou sat cross-legged in a room and was reading the human scroll of heaven writing. He had become accustomed to inexplicable system prompts. No matter what caused the increase, it was a piece of pleasant news to hear. To gain the power to look into the future, we should know that we cannot say anything about the future. The power to hear everything, so that we can hear voices in all realms at will. The power of speech, which can change the world with words and free the common people from sufferings. Zhou closed the Heaven Writings interface. That was the only readable content in the human scroll, while the rest were still unrecognizable symbols. I remember when I read the human scroll the first time, only the title page was readable. But now I can read 2 more pages. Is it because both my lifespan and cultivation base have improved? The purpose of cultivating Heaven Writing was to improve the cultivation base, but he could only read the content after his cultivation base was improved. It seemed to be putting the cart before the horse. You are purposely making things difficult for me, aren't you? Zhou felt the energy within him. Since he stepped into the sense-condensing realm, he had absorbed a lot of energy with the help of his avatar. But, in the face of a divine court expert, he was still as weak as an ant. The night was long, and he seemed to have nothing else to do but read. The words, "lucky draw," flashed in his mind, but he immediately shook his head. It is an addictive game, and I should wait until I have more merit points. The next morning, at the Azure Dragon Association's headquarters near the Gu River. "You mean the person who wounded you is a little girl who looks like she is only 15 or 16 years old, and she was accompanied by an old man in his 70s or 80s? Asked the chief, Lu Zhengfeng. The 2 men kneeling in the hall drew long faces and did not dare to speak. Lu Zhengfeng paced back and forth. A moment later, he said again, "An early-stage mystic enlightening cultivator and a 7th or 8th-tier body-tempering cultivator. What gave them the courage to provoke the Azure Dragon Association?" "I don't know, Chief. We were recruiting disciples in the street of Anyang when the wild girl suddenly appeared and wounded Officer Jiang. Her grandfather even said, he said, "What did he say?" "He said, he will call on you personally today." Lu Zhengfeng snorted, and his face looked puzzled and dismissive. What puzzled him was why a mere mystic enlightening cultivator had the courage to challenge them. He did not think that the Azure Dragon Association had the need to deal with such a trifle matter. However, if he ignored it, how were they going to recruit disciples again? He needed to regain dignity. "Bring 20 brothers with you and find the girl who wounded Officer Jiang today." "I understand." The 2 men were getting up to their feet when a man rushed into the hall as he cupped his fist and said, "Chief, a girl wishes to see you. Tell her to go away. She said her patience is limited, and until she can still obey her grandfather's order, she asked you to do as she said." When he had finished, the man looked up and peeked at the chief. "To do as she said" sounded like what a senior would tell a junior. Bam! Bam! Suddenly, several men crashed through doors and windows while shrieks and screams could be heard from outside. Lu Zhengfeng was in a bad mood already, and he was confused when he saw that. What's happening? Go and have a look. Lu Zhengfeng led his men out of the inner hall, over the courtyard. Little Yuana stood on the roof in her blue clothes, twisting her hair with one finger and pointing with another finger at the cultivators of the Azure Dragon Association down below as she said, I told you my patience is limited. I have been good enough to not beat you, and yet you made me wait outside? How dare you? SHE is so strong. Her cultivation base must be at least at the Brahma Sea realm. What should we do?